Shen Fangxing and I have been at each other's throats since we were kids. She'd call me the compound's biggest loser. Whoever marries her is a total dog. I'd call her the compound's top she-devil. Only a dog would want her. But when we hit 18, the only matches left in our high society circle were the two of us. With both sets of parents playing matchmaker, we ended up married. On our wedding night, he wiped the water from his hair and asked if I even knew about guy-girl stuff. We clicked in the hottest way possible. For the next 3 years, slim-waisted, long-legged girls kept clinging to me, begging for mercy. We became the most loved-up couple in the whole compound, until the day he got sent on an out-of-town mission. His twin sister Shen Jiwai came back carrying a blood-stained badges. Her voice all raspy as she told me, Yannan, Fangxing, he's not coming back. And she passed out right there. When I came to, I lost it and tried to run off and find him. But my father-in-law held me back with everything he had. Later, I swallowed sleeping pills, slit my wrists, jumped into the river. The night they finally saved me from my last suicide attempt, I showed up at my wife's house, pale as death, only to overhear my father-in-law and my wife in the study. How much longer are we gonna hide this from him? Yannan's already tried to kill himself 3 times for you. Dad, wait. Before my sister died, she asked me to take care of my brother-in-law. But my brother-in-law's health is fragile. Hearing his sister died would destroy him. So I had to step into my sister's shoes first and have a baby with Ling Xiao. With that child as his anchor, my brother-in-law can keep living. My father-in-law's voice got even more urgent. But you're sleeping in Ling Xiao's room every single night. Have you even thought about how Yannan feels? Shen Fangxing cut her father off. He's stronger than my brother-in-law. So, my wife never actually died. She's been pretending to be her sister this whole time. And having a baby with Chu Ling Xiao. I didn't stick around to hear the rest. I just turned and ran. When I got home in a total daze, matchmaker Aunt Sang was there again. Yannan, Colonel Liu is getting transferred to the island in 2 weeks. This is the 7th time he's asked me to check with you. He said, if you still say no, he's never coming back. Liu Shihan is Shen Fangxing's war buddy from the day I lost my wife. He's been showing up to propose over and over. I turned him down the first 6 times. Because I thought I'd only ever love Shen Fangxing in this life. But now I looked up calmly and said, I agree to marry her. Please tell Liu Shihan. I'll marry her in 2 weeks. And head to the island with her. The curtain suddenly flew open. Shen Fangxing was standing in the doorway, her face dark as she asked, brother-in-law, who are you marrying? Looking at her, I suddenly felt like laughing. I said softly, sister, this is my business. She grabbed my wrist and told the matchmaker, I'll take care of my brother-in-law. He doesn't need to marry anyone else. And my brother-in-law loves Fangxing so much. He'd never agree to Aunt Zhang's ideas. Don't come around anymore. Or don't blame me for kicking you out. Once she saw Zhang leave, Shen Fangxing finally breathed easy. She said lightly, brother-in-law, even though Fangxing is gone, don't worry. I'll take good care of you. Next time any matchmakers show up, just send them packing. Right then, I just thought it was ridiculous. She's been sneaking into my brother-in-law's room every day behind my back. But she's still scared I'll run off. Scared I'll marry someone else. What kind of twisted logic is that? But I didn't call her out. I just nodded. Anyway, in 2 weeks I'm marrying someone else. Leaving this place forever. She won't be able to stop me then. That night, I was packing my bags, when I suddenly heard the bed creaking next door. Before, whenever I heard that sound, I just think my sister and brother-in-law were super into each other. But now every single moan felt like a dull knife slicing my heart. It was clearly the low groans Shen Fangxing makes when she's turned on. The exact sounds she used to whisper right in my ear. A sharp scream cut through the night. I rushed out, just in time to see Chu Lingxiao carrying a half-dressed Shen Fangxing as he ran out. Under the moonlight, there was a glaring red stain on his snow-white pajama pants. The whole family compound exploded with gossip. The neighbor Aunt Lee poked her head out. "Oh my God. What happened? I heard it was too wild in bed, and she started bleeding." I turned to leave, but Aunt Lee grabbed me. "Yannan, you're the brother-in-law. You gotta go check on them, to stop any rumors." I had no choice but to throw on clothes and rush to the hospital. In the hospital hallway, Chu Lingxiao was pacing like crazy. When he saw me, he froze. "Why are you here?" I forced a smile and said, as the brother-in-law, "I should come check." The operating room door suddenly swung open. The doctor stepped out. "Don't worry. Your loved one is fine. She's just pregnant. You two need to take it easy in the bedroom." Shen Fangxing was stunned at first. Then she murmured softly, "This is perfect. Everything can finally get back on track. Shen Fangxing is pregnant. She can finally drop the Shen Zhiwai act and come back to me." The doctor's words snapped me out of my thoughts. But I don't need that anymore. The patient is a little anemic and needs a blood transfusion. Chu Lingxiao immediately rolled up his sleeve. But the doctor stopped him. "Your blood type doesn't match. We need type B." His eyes turned to me. A moment later, he walked right up to me and said, "Brother-in-law, my sister is pregnant. We've been waiting for this baby forever." He paused, then kept going. "Could you donate a little blood for her? Please. Once the baby is born, my wife and I will definitely make it up to you." I said calmly, "I can donate the blood. No need for any compensation." Then I followed the nurse to give blood. Over the next few days, I was resting at home. I watched their lovey-dovey daily routine through the window. Chu Lingxiao carried a thermos every single day, going back and forth between home and the hospital. The day Shen Fangxing got discharged, the whole compound smelled like sweet milk candy. Shen Fangxing carried a jar of celebration candies and handed them out door to door. Her usually cool eyes were sparkling with a smile she couldn't hide. "I'm pregnant. Have a candy. Congratulations. Finally got a little one." She smiled and chatted along. Every look on her face screamed pure mom-to-be joy. Finally, she came over to me. Her hand holding out the candy hesitated a little. "Brother-in-law." I took the candy with the perfect smile. "Congratulations, sister. Wishing you three the happiest little family ever." Shen Fangxing's brows frowned, almost too quick to notice. That blessing was way too perfect. So perfect, it made her heart race with panic. Ever since he sacrificed himself, I'd been crying and trying to end it every day. When had I ever been this calm? But before she could overthink it, Chu Lingxiao walked over, wrapped his arm around her waist and said, "Zhi Wei, didn't we say we'd treat Yannan to dinner?" I tried refusing a bunch of times, but still got dragged into the car. While ordering, he rattled off a whole list of dishes. No cilantro, less oil, less salt, all spicy sour, exactly Chu Lingxiao's favorites. Until the waiter asked the younger brother what he wanted. Then he suddenly remembered and turned to look at me. I kept my head down sipping tea, the steam blurring my eyes as I said softly, "Anything's fine for me." Once all the dishes arrived, I mechanically picked at my rice grain by grain, until my throat suddenly tightened up. That's when I realized the tangyuan in my bowl were sesame-filled. I'm allergic to sesame. Chu Lingxiao noticed my face changing. He asked anxiously, "Yannan, what's wrong?" Shen Fangxing finally looked up and saw my red cheeks. She jumped up in panic. "You ate sesame." My breathing got harder and harder. Everything went black before my eyes. In a daze, I saw Shen Fangxing rushing toward me, but halfway there, Chu Lingxiao's pained cry stopped her in her tracks. My head hurts so bad. In the end, he chose Chu Lingxiao. Before he rushed off, he quickly told the waiter, "Please get my brother to the hospital," and then everything went blurry. I passed out completely. During those 3 days in the hospital, I lay there all alone in the bed. The allergy rash made my whole body itch like crazy. My throat was so swollen I couldn't even swallow water. The day I was discharged, the second I reached the hospital gate, I suddenly spotted that familiar army green jeep. Chu Lingxiao burst into the yard in a panic. She was in big trouble. I got reported for reselling return tickets. I could feel Shen Fangxing's hand freeze instantly. "What did you just say?" Chu Lingxiao blurted out nervously. "I just wanted to make a little extra cash, so I could buy our baby more clothes. Now the enforcement team is coming to arrest me." Shen Fangxing's voice turned ice cold in a second. "I give you my entire monthly allowance, and you still pull this kind of stunt." Chu Lingxiao grabbed her sleeve, freaking out as he asked, "What do we do now? You're pregnant right now. I can't go to jail." The yard gate suddenly got kicked open. 3 guys with red armbands stormed in. "Comrade Chu Lingxiao, please, come with us." The air froze instantly. Shen Fangxing stayed silent for a long time, then suddenly spoke up. It wasn't him. Everyone's eyes snapped to Shen Fangxing. The air went still for a few seconds. She said word by word, "I know all about this. It wasn't Lingxiao who did it. It was Yannan." The whole world felt like it stopped right then. My voice shook. "What did you just say? Say that again." She avoided my eyes, her gaze drifting. She repeated, "It was Yannan." My voice trembled even harder. What else is there to say? The enforcement team already had my arms twisted behind my back. "We have witnesses. Please cooperate with the investigation." As they shoved me onto the truck, I stared at Shen Fangxing without blinking. In that dark little room, nobody listened to a word of my defense. After days of no food or water, they dragged me off to the coal mine for labor reform. The mine shaft was freezing and damp. I carried heavy loads of coal on my back. Every step felt like walking on knife blades. Suddenly a huge boom echoed through the tunnel. Someone screamed, "Run! It's collapsing!" I didn't even have time to react before the falling coal buried me from the waist down. In that crushing pain, I heard someone screaming my name like their heart was breaking. "Yannan, hold on!" Was I hallucinating? The woman who abandoned me was now frantically digging through the coal with her bare hands, her fingertips dripping with blood. When Shen Fangxing finally pulled me out, her voice was shaking so hard it broke. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She kept calling my name over and over. "My sister is gone now. It's just my brother-in-law left. He can't take this kind of pain. I had no choice but to pin it on you. Yannan, I had no other way. You're hurting, but I'm hurting even more. Once my baby is born, I'll come get you and bring you home. Wake up, please wake up. I can't lose you." I wanted to laugh. She always does this. Whips you first, then offers a sugar cube. The day I got discharged, the sunlight stabbed my eyes. The second I reached the compound gate, I saw Aunt Zhang waving at me on tiptoes. "Yannan, I've been waiting forever," I said softly. Aunt Zhang lowered her voice. "Everything's set with Colonel Le. The boat leaves first thing tomorrow." She pulled a ticket from her pocket and said, "He specially told me not to let you bring too much luggage. The island has everything you need." I quickly took a red envelope from my pocket and handed it over. "Thanks for running all this way, Auntie." "Oh, Colonel Lu already paid me." I smiled and said, "This is extra." I slipped the red envelope into Aunt Zhang's hand. The corners of my mouth lifted a little as I thought to myself, "Yeah, See, in everyone's eyes, Shen Fangxing died a long time ago. Died on that mission. Died with that blood-stained badge. Only I know she's alive and well, living in another man's arms. I was just about to speak when the yard gate got kicked open with a bang. Shen Fangxing stood there, face dark as thunder, her uniform soaked with sweat. Clearly, she'd rushed back in a hurry. She snatched the red envelope from Aunt Zhang's hand and said coldly, "I already told you, no more matchmaking for Yannan. I'll take care of him. He won't agree to remarry anyway." Aunt Zhang scurried away in a panic and ran straight into Chu Lingxiao as he walked in. Chu Lingxiao looked up and saw Shen Fangxing standing protectively in front of me. His eyes instantly turned stormy. Late at night, I was still packing my suitcase when the door suddenly flew open. Chu Lingxiao sneered, "Didn't learn your lesson last time." Still trying to seduce GY. I kept folding clothes without looking up. "I'm leaving tomorrow." Before I could finish, Chu Lingxiao suddenly let out a scream and crashed to the floor, clutching his leg and howling in pain. Almost at the same time, Shen Fangxing rushed in from outside. "Lingxiao!" She didn't even glance at me, just helped Chu Lingxiao up and ran out with him. At dawn, I was carrying my suitcase, just reaching the yard gate, when I ran into Shen Fangxing hurrying back, covered in dust. Dark circles under her eyes, bloodshot from no sleep. She grabbed my wrist tight. "Why you keep hurting Lingxiao?" I stayed up all night watching over him. His leg is the one he dances with. How is he supposed to live after this? I shook off her hand and walked out in silence. She finally noticed my suitcase. Her voice turned sharp. "How did you know I was kicking you out? You even packed already." I finally stopped and said coldly, "Kicking me out?" Her usually cool face was full of exhaustion, but she still said icily, "My pregnancy's been unstable lately. Lingxiao and I don't want to see you right now. Go stay at your parents' place for a while." Before I could argue, she snatched the suitcase. "I'll take you to the station." I grabbed it back and said calmly, "No need. I'll go myself." But Shen Fangxing stubbornly followed me all the way to the station. She said gently, "I won't go in with you. Buy your ticket and head in. Lingxiao's still in the hospital waiting for me to take care of him." After a few more instructions, she turned and walked away quickly. I stood at the ticket window and suddenly let out a soft laugh. "Shen Fangxing, go ahead and spend the rest of your life taking care of your precious Chu Lingxiao." I watched that army green jeep disappear into the morning mist, then slowly turned and walked the opposite way. There was a bus to the port waiting, and Lu Shihan waiting for me. A brand new life. In the morning light, I took one last look toward the military compound. "Shen Fangxing, this time we're done. We'll never see each other again." At the port, after I dragged my suitcase off the bus, I spotted a woman in a gray coat right away, waving at me excitedly. Yannan. Lu Shihan didn't even care about all her own bags. She ran straight over to me, reached out and took my suitcase, smiling as she said, "Let me carry this for you. I'm not the type to be all polite and refuse. Besides, Lu Shihan and I are gonna be married soon. We'll be spending the rest of our lives together. I need to get used to this anyway." I handed her the suitcase and smiled. "Thanks." She blushed shyly. "No need to thank me. We're family now, after all." Family? My footsteps paused. I instinctively looked up at Lu Shihan beside me, my face completely serious as I said, "Lu Shihan, I have something I need to tell you." Seeing how serious I was, Lu Shihan copied my tone. She wiped the excited smile off her face and looked at me with the same seriousness. "Go ahead." I took a deep breath. "You probably already know about my past, right?" Lu Shihan nodded quickly. I smiled. "But I want to tell you this myself. My wife didn't actually die. Hearing those words, Lu Shihan, his mind went completely blank. His heart was crashing with huge waves of shock. What do you mean, his wife is still alive? Does that mean all those years of waiting are about to shatter again? Am I really gonna lose him this time? While Lu Shihan was still spinning in a daze, a warm, strong hand suddenly reached out and gently took hers. A soothing voice brushed against her ear. But don't worry, I'm not going back to him. Our marriage ended the second he died. And besides, he's Chu Lingxiao's wife now. One bombshell after another hit Lu Shihan so hard. She stayed frozen in shock for ages. So I told the woman in front of me everything. Even if one day he shows up and wants me back, you don't have to worry. There's zero proof he's Shen Fangxing. The second she heard that, Lu Shihan's heart, that had been stuck in her throat, finally dropped back into place. I kept going, Lu Shihan. Since I decided to marry you and build a real life together, it means I'm done with everything from before. I won't turn back for anyone. But after we get married, I hope you never do anything that hurts me. You already know what I'm like. If you ever betray me, I'll leave you forever. Before I could finish, Lu Shihan pulled me into a tight hug. The fresh soap and sunshine scent on her hair hit me all at once, and suddenly my whole body just relaxed. Lu Shihan said softly, Yannan, I've loved you for 10 whole years, and waited for you all this time. I know better than anyone how hard it was for you to finally say yes. And I know exactly how much courage it takes to cut off your past and open your heart again. All I can do is love you with everything I've got. Warm you up, never hurt you. I know you might not believe me yet. After all, you're only just starting to let me in. To really know me, your heart won't hand itself over right away. But we have so much time ahead of us. I'll prove to you every single day just how much I love you. From now until forever. Lu Shihan's voice stayed calm the whole time. But it was so steady and sure, like a gentle hand, wrapping around my frozen, broken heart, slowly warming it back to life, letting fresh green shoots push through the dead ground again. I didn't say a word. I just reached out, ran my hands slowly down her back, and pulled her closer. Right then the ship at the dock blew its horn, calling everyone on board. We looked at each other and smiled, then joined the crowd flowing onto the ship, like a river of people. Passengers crowded against the railing, waving goodbye to their families on shore with sad smiles. But Lu Shihan and I stayed wrapped up together, quietly watching the port get smaller and smaller, until it disappeared completely. Back at the hospital, after Shen Fangxing dropped me at the station, she rushed straight back without stopping. In the ward, Chu Lingxiao woke up and didn't see his wife anywhere. He called out anxiously, Ziwei, where are you? No answer. Panic flooded his chest, and his injured leg started throbbing again. But he didn't care. He dragged his weak body out of bed to go find her. Just then, Shen Fangxing pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing Chu Lingxiao about to fall, she rushed over and caught him. Careful, she cried. Chu Lingxiao gripped her clothes tighter and tighter, then looked up at her, his voice breaking. I thought you didn't want me anymore. All the weird things Shen Fangxing had been doing lately, plus my secret little provocations, had filled Chu Lingxiao with panic, watching his mom lose everything in family fights back in the Chu house. After over 10 years of suffering, he knew exactly what that fear meant, so his heart was drowning in terror. Seeing Chu Lingxiao like this, the words Shen Fangxing wanted to say turned into a soft sigh. She reached out and gently calmed him down, before finally explaining why she was late. She'd planned to send me straight back to the Wen family, but she couldn't stop worrying about Chu Lingxiao, so she dropped him off somewhere near the station first, then rushed straight to the hospital. Who knew the car would break down halfway? Worried he'd get anxious, she left the car with the guard and ran the rest of the way back. Chu Lingxiao felt both touched and heartbroken. He quickly grabbed a handkerchief to wipe her face. Then, like he just remembered something, he said softly, "But, Zhy, you left your brother-in-law all alone at the station. That doesn't feel right. I've heard it's not safe around there lately. What if something happens?" Hearing that, Shen Fangxing's body tensed. Then she shook her head and comforted him. "It won't. He's a grown man. He can take care of himself." Shen Fangxing thought to herself, "I'm just going home. What could possibly happen?" Plus she'd already called when Yannan's parents say, and asked them to pick him up at the station. That night, Shen Fangxing lay beside Chu Lingxiao like always, gently stroking her belly. Whenever they talked about the baby, they'd just chat happily. Somehow Chu Lingxiao got curious about the baby's looks. He asked, "Zhi, tell me, who do you think our baby will look like more?" Shen Fangxing's hand paused on her belly for a second. Then she smiled. "Whoever it looks like is fine, as long as you like it," even though that's what she said out loud. In her mind, my face kept floating up on its own. She couldn't help imagining what our baby would look like if we had one together. If it's a boy, she hoped he'd take after me, so she could spoil both of us like crazy. If it's a girl, she hoped she'd take after her, so she'd have two precious babies to love. Thinking about our little one sweetly clinging to us, Shen Fangxing's usually cool face softened, and the corners of her mouth lifted without her even noticing. Seeing her look so gentle, Chu Lingxiao's body heated up, and he pulled her even closer. His big hands slowly slipped under her clothes. Shen Fangxing saw the way Chu Lingxiao was looking at her, every move full of heat and desire. She knew deep down that the moment everyone found out she was pregnant, her mission was already done. Staying by his side now was only so she could safely give birth to this baby. She was already planning to go back to my side and never get close to Chu Lingxiao again. Thinking about that, she took a deep breath and tried to push his hands away. But Chu Lingxiao's desire was too strong. He wouldn't let go. He thought she was just shy, so he leaned in and pressed his lips to hers. "We're husband and wife, and your pregnancy is stable now. The doctor said it's okay." The word husband and wife hit Shen Fangxing like a hammer and snapped her back to reality. Yaha! She'd been so focused on getting back to our little home, she'd almost forgotten who she was supposed to be right now. She was still Shen Zhy, Chu Lingxiao's wife. She still had to keep playing the role and do her duty as a wife. At that thought, her eyes darkened, and she kissed Chu Lingxiao back. They lay face to face under the covers. She cradled his face, kissing him softly, then deeper, while her other hand carefully protected the baby in her belly. Chu Lingxiao's eyes were hazy with want, feeling how she was taking the lead. A big hand suddenly yanked the hospital curtains shut. Only one wall lamp stayed on, casting soft, tangled shadows of the two of them. The next morning, the rain that had poured all night finally stopped. The air after the rain carried the fresh scent of wet earth and sweet grass. The streets that had been dead quiet all night slowly came alive again. Bike bells, street vendors shouting, all kinds of noise mixing together. That loud chaos woke up the two people still tangled together in the hospital bed. He rolled over and got up, picked up the clothes scattered on the floor, got dressed quietly and slipped out. By now, Yannan should already be home. Last night it was too late, and he was worried the long bus ride would tire him out. So, he held back his worry and didn't call the Wen family. After a whole night he figured Yannan must have rested enough. Thinking that, he hurried to the public phone booth, picked up the receiver and dialed the Wen house. No one picked up. Shen Fangxing's heart sank deeper and deeper. Just as he was about to hang up and try again, Father Wen's voice came through. "Who is this?" A flash of joy crossed Shen Fangxing's eyes. He said quickly, "Dad, Uncle, it's me. I am Shen Jiwai." Father Wen gave a cold hum on the other end. "What do you want?" Hearing that distant tone, Shen Fangxing froze for a second. In his memory, Father Wen had always been super happy with his daughter-in-law, and warm toward the whole Shen family. Nothing like this. He gripped the phone tighter. Something about Father Wen's attitude felt off, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. On the other end, Father Wen saw Shen Fangxing staying silent, and was about to hang up. Shen Fangxing snapped back. He quickly asked, "Is Yannan home yet? Can I talk to him?" Father Wen paused. Then Mother Wen snatched the phone, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "You control the sky, you control the earth, you even control Yannan's whole life. How would you not know if he came home or not?" Shen Fangxing's heart skipped. That's when she remembered why the Wen family was so cold toward her. Back when everyone thought I was a widow, the Wen family felt bad for me. They wanted to take me home, so I could remarry someone decent. But Shen Fangxing wasn't dead at all. How could she watch her own husband marry someone else? So she fought desperately to stop it, knelt at the Wen family gate, swore to heaven she'd take care of me forever. But the Wen family didn't believe a word. They still insisted on taking me back. In the end, she had to call in her superiors to finally calm everything down. After that, the Wen family never smiled at her or the Shen family again. Shen Fangxing knew she was in the wrong, so she planned to personally apologize to the Wen family once the baby was born. After hanging up, Mother Wen looked at Father Wen beside her. He still has the nerve to ask about Yannan. The Wen family had known all along it was Shen Fangxing on the phone. They already knew through the matchmaker that I was marrying Lu Shihan and moving to the island. They just never told Shen Fangxing or the Shen family, because Shen Fangxing had lied to them first. They were just giving her a taste of her own medicine. Father Wen's face looked just as dark, but he still comforted his wife gently. "Don't worry, I won't let him off that easy." The day Shen Fangxing finished her checkup and headed home, it happened to be Grandma Shen's 60th birthday. These past few years, the Shen family had risen in status because of their martyr daughter and a high-ranking leader. So their daughter's position shot up too. On the day of the birthday banquet, the Shen house was packed with guests. Even Shen Fangxing's superiors came specially to wish Grandma Shen well. For a moment, Grandma Shen was shining brighter than ever. She looked around the room. Everyone there was Shen family. On the left sat Shen Fangxing and her son-in-law, Shu Lingxiao. On the right, the youngest daughter who had married far away in the capital, and rushed back by train just for this, along with her husband. Only the very bottom seat was empty, the one that should have been for her second son-in-law. When Yannan, Grandma Shen, had wanted to use this chance to have Shen Fangxing bring Yannan back, but Shen Fangxing used the excuse that the trip was too long, and she was worried Yannan might hurt Shu Lingxiao again, and successfully talked her out of it. The Shen family had gone through too much already. Now that their daughter was finally pregnant, Grandma Shen didn't want any more accidents. It was just a shame that this birthday banquet still wasn't complete. Right then a knock came from outside. Grandma Shen quickly stood up. "Come on, time to start the feast." Shen Fangxing hurried over to help her, but Grandma Shen waved her off. "No need. I can walk myself. You're carrying a baby now. Let your husband take care of you." Shen Fangxing's face turned bright red. She glanced at Chu Ling Xiao beside her. Everyone around praised how loving the couple looked. Only Shen Fangxing's parents, who knew the truth, forced awkward smiles. The Shen courtyard was lit up with lanterns and decorations. The TV Shen Fangxing had specially bought was playing a fun movie. On the stage on the other side, they were performing the opera Grandma Shen, Love, as fireworks burst in the sky. The banquet reached its peak. Shen Fangxing and Chu Lingxiao stood on either side, helping Grandma Shen to the table. On the table was the peach-shaped birthday cake Chu Lingxiao had ordered specially, amid everyone's blessings. Grandma Shen was about to pick up the knife to cut the cake, when suddenly, the tightly closed main gate was kicked open from outside. The Wen family stormed in, faces dark as thunder. Shen Zhiwai. The lively atmosphere froze instantly. Everyone stared at the Wen family walking in, totally confused. Shen Fangxing's expression changed the second her name was called. She had no idea why the Wen family had come all this way to the Shen house. And she didn't see me in the crowd. A storm of complicated emotions swallowed her whole. She was about to step forward and ask, when Grandma Shen quickly forced a smile and went to take Mother Wen's arm. "Oh my. In-laws, what brings you here?" Mother Wen didn't buy the act at all. She shoved her away and roared, "Don't call me in-law." Shen Fangxing rushed forward to catch her mom, her face turning ugly. "What are you doing?" Mother Wen got even angrier. "What are we doing? I should be asking what your family is doing. You stood in front of everyone and swore you'd take good care of our son. How long has it been? Look what you've done to him." The crowd saw there was drama and stayed put, everyone crowding around to watch. The Shen family exchanged quick glances and tried to invite the Wen family inside, but Father Wen exploded and had the rest of the Wen family block them. "Where do you think you're going? Now you're embarrassed. When you were torturing our son, you didn't feel any shame then. Shen Zhiwai, let me ask you, was it you who made my son take the fall for selling return tickets? The one who almost got crushed to death in the coal mine collapse. Was that you too?" Father Wen dropped one shocking secret after another. The whole crowd erupted. Whispers exploded everywhere. Grandma Shen had no idea about any of this. Her face went deathly pale. She looked at her daughter in disbelief and asked in a panic, "Zhiwai, is this true?" Before Shen Fangxing could answer, Mother Wen raised the evidence she'd prepared earlier and threw it into the air. "Of course it's true." White papers fluttered down like snow, landing in everyone's hands. Once they read what was on them, everyone's faces changed. "Oh my God, is all this real? The Shen family is way too cruel, treating a widow like this. Van Yannan is just a widower, and they forced him to take the blame for their son-in-law. They're trying to drive him to his death." Listening to all the gossip, Mother Wen's bottled-up pain finally exploded. She collapsed to the ground with a thud and burst into tears. Every word soaked in blood. "Your family has no heart. You destroyed my good son. If you couldn't take care of him, why didn't you let us take him back in the first place? My poor son?" The whole scene turned into chaos. Accusations, sobs, angry shouts rang out non-stop, like slap after slap, hitting Grandma Shen right in the face. She couldn't take it anymore, clutched her chest, eyes rolled back, and fainted. In the middle of the mess, Shen Fangxing's superior, an old commissar from the military region, stepped forward to take charge. He asked the Wen family what they really wanted. Mother Wen, helped up by her nephew, wiped her tears and said fiercely, "I want my son to cut all ties with the Shen family forever." Suddenly a bolt of lightning cracked across the sky with thunder, lighting up everyone's different expressions in the yard, especially Shen Fangxing. Her face turned deathly white in an instant, as if every drop of life had been sucked out of her. What did she just hear? They want to cut me and the Shen family off completely. No, absolutely not. Her baby is about to be born any day now. She'll finally finish her sister's dying wish and come back to me as Shen Fangxing. Tell me the whole truth, and we can go back to our happy life together. But right when her plan was so close to succeeding, the Wen family wanted to take her husband away. She would never allow it. No way. Shen Fangxing's protests looked weak and powerless against the Wen family's determination. Ever since the Wen family learned Shen Fangxing's real identity, they hated her and the entire Shen family with everything they had. They used to think their son marrying into the Shen family would mean a good life. They never expected he'd fallen into hell. If they'd known, they would have fought to the death to keep him out. But at least they could stop the damage now. They were actually glad Shen Fangxing had done all this, because now their son could use the widow excuse to cut ties with the Shen family completely. It was way easier than divorcing a military marriage, and Shen Fangxing and the Shen family would have no reason to keep bothering their son unless she revealed her real identity. But then, she'd go straight to prison, no matter which path she chose. It would be worse than death for Shen Fangxing. The Wen family had thought of exactly that, so they chose to force her hand at Grandma Shen's birthday banquet. If she dared admit she was Shen Fangxing, they could kill two birds with one stone, and drag her and the whole Shen family straight to hell. Mother Wen roared, "What right do you have to object, Shen Shivai?" She bit down hard on those last three words, as if reminding Shen Fangxing exactly who she was supposed to be right now. "My son has already mourned for your sister for almost 2 years. You said he had to suffer. Well, my son has suffered plenty too. Even if he owed you anything, he's paid it back in full by now, right? And if anyone should object, it should be my son's real wife, your sister Shen Fangxing. You're just the big sister-in-law, practically an outsider with no blood relation to my son. What right do you have to object?" Shen Fangxing said desperately. "No, it's me. I'm Shen Fangxing." Another huge thunderclap boomed. The noisy scene suddenly went dead silent. Everyone stared at Shen Fangxing in disbelief, mouths hanging open. Did they hear wrong? What did she just say? She said she's Shen Fangxing. Like, for real. Chu Lingxiao beside her was frozen in shock. He even forgot about the pain in his leg. He didn't care about anything else. He just grabbed Shen Fangxing's hand. "What nonsense are you talking?" Mother Wen looked at the person who had just blurted out her real identity and gave a cold laugh. "What proof do you have that you're Shen Fangxing?" Back then, everyone saw Shen Fangxing's body with their own eyes and watched her coffin get buried. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't just say whatever you want. Everyone saw Shen Fangxing's body with their own eyes back then. We all watched her coffin get buried. Yeah, you can eat whatever nonsense you want, but you can't just throw words around like that. You can't joke about something this serious with Shen Zhiwai. Shen Fangxing stood frozen in place, her face full of conflict and torment. After a long silence, she finally raised her head again and spoke each word with painful determination. "I am Shen Fangxing, not Shen Zhiwai. The one who died back then was my sister, not me." Chu Lingxiao felt like he'd been struck by lightning. His mind went completely blank. He shook his head in disbelief and stumbled backward. "You're just messing with me, right? Tell me you're joking." The wife he'd held every single night for 2 years was now standing in the middle of the crowd, saying the coldest words imaginable, telling everyone, telling him the brutal truth. She was never his wife. She was his sister-in-law. She was Yannan's wife, the man he despised most. Trembling, he looked up at her. "You're joking, right? Please say you're joking." Chu Lingxiao stared at Shen Fangxing's face, but, under the harsh lights, her features seemed to twist and blur. Everything became indistinct. All those nagging questions that had haunted him for so long suddenly had answers. The chandelier swayed violently in the storm. Finally, Chu Lingxiao let out a broken sob. The sound grew louder and louder, exactly like the wails he made 2 years ago, when he learned his wife had been sacrificed. Miserable, desperate, the grief of losing a wife that he'd carried for 2 years finally crashed over him again today. Unable to bear it any longer, his eyes rolled back, and he fainted completely. Shen Fangxing reached out to catch him, but the massive shock left her completely stunned. Then her vision darkened and she collapsed, too. Someone screamed. "There's blood everywhere on the floor. She's miscarrying. Call an ambulance. Quick!" The chaos temporarily stopped when both Chu Lingxiao and Shen Fangxing passed out. After a night of emergency treatment, Chu Lingxiao was fine, but the baby in Shen Fangxing's womb could not be saved. Shen's mother slapped Shen Fangxing hard across the face. "How could you be so stupid? If you just held on a little longer, just waited a few more months, that child would have been born, and the Shen family would have had an heir. But you had to spill everything that day. Not only did you cost us a grandchild, you made the whole Shen family lose face. Now the entire Yun city knows." The youngest Shen daughter pretended to be her sister and slept with her brother-in-law. The Wen family doesn't even have to keep pushing anymore. The old political commissar made the call himself and cut all ties with our family because the scandal blew up so badly. Even Shen Fangxing's own official position was revoked, losing so much all at once. How could Shen's mother not lose her mind? She raised her hand to slap again. Shen Fangxing sat there like an empty shell, letting her mother hit and scream without any reaction. Finally, a nurse came out and shouted at them to stop. "The patient inside is awake. Who's going in to see Chu Lingxiao?" Only then did Shen Fangxing snap back. Her voice hoarse, she said, "I'll go." After all, Chu Lingxiao had no idea about any of this. She owed him. She would do everything she could to make it up to him. With that thought, she ignored her mother's shouting behind her and pushed open the door to Chu Lingxiao's room. The moment the door closed, all the noise outside was shut out. Shen Fangxing looked toward the bed and immediately saw the pale man with hollow, empty eyes. She clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and walked over. Then she sat down beside his bed. Softly she said, "This is all my fault. I let you down now. Whatever compensation you want, just name it." After a long silence, Chu Lingxiao finally turned his head to look at her. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions. What could possibly make up for this? He waited day and night for his wife to come back, held her every night, and finally, joyfully, watched her carry a child that carried both their blood. Everything had been so perfect. And then, she shattered the dream herself, told him it was all a carefully constructed lie, just so he wouldn't feel the pain of losing a wife again, so the child could give him a reason to keep living. Now the lie was exposed. No wife, no child, no reputation. He had nothing left. What could she possibly give him to make up for that? Chu Lingxiao's knuckles turned white as he gripped the sheet. His voice scraped out like it had been rubbed with sandpaper. "Shen Fangxing, the least you should do isn't compensation. It's never breaking that lie in the first place." Shen Fangxing closed her eyes. Her voice grew even weaker. Every word she wanted to say felt pale and useless now. The wall clock ticked steadily. In the ward, only their breathing could be heard. After what felt like forever, Chu Lingxiao spoke again. Any compensation is fine. Shen Fangxing paused. Then, yes. For the first time, Chu Lingxiao smiled. But the smile never reached his eyes. Fine. I want you to marry me. Shen Fangxing shot up from the stool. No way. That's insane. Ask for something else. Chu Lingxiao suddenly laughed. But it was full of bitter sarcasm. Insane, eh? You think this is insane? Then why didn't you think it was insane when you pretended to be your sister and climbed into my bed to have my child? Do you have any idea what you've done to my reputation? It's completely ruined. No one will ever marry me now. How am I supposed to live like this? Let me tell you something, Shen Fangxing. For the rest of your life, you can only and you will marry me. Shen Fangxing said coldly. Impossible. Before she could finish, Shen's mother, who had been eavesdropping, burst in it. She can. Shen's mother was already devastated from losing one daughter and one son-in-law. Now facing the loss of another son-in-law. Her mouth was covered in stress blisters. She never expected Chu Lingxiao to actually propose marrying Shen Fangxing himself. To her, it was heaven-sent good news. Shen Fangxing couldn't believe her mother was still making things worse at a time like this. Fangxing, we've already wronged Yannan enough. We cannot wrong Lingxiao too. I agree. Once Lingxiao is discharged, you two go get the certificate. Shen Fangxing turned completely cold. Absolutely not. My husband is Yannan. Only him. I've already heard him once. No matter what you think, I only want Yannan. At that moment the ward door was suddenly slammed open from outside. The person panted, Fangxing, there's news about Yannan again. In an instant, Shen Fangxing's gloomy face lit up with desperate hope. She rushed out without another word. Shen's mother yelled after her, Shen Fangxing, stop right there. No matter how much she shouted, Shen Fangxing never looked back once. On a certain island in the south, I really underestimated how weak my body was. 3 days of sailing, I was seasick for 2. The remaining day, I just slept in a daze. From disembarking to reaching the Lu family home, Lu Shihan practically carried me the whole way. It took almost half a month in bed before I finally felt like myself again and could really look around. At the new home I now shared with Lu Shihan, the house sat halfway up the mountain, a cozy 2-story building. Fruit trees and vegetables grew all around it. A fenced pond nearby held fish, and chickens, ducks, and geese wandered around. Right beside the pond, Lu Shihan, wearing short sleeves and long pants, sat at a little stool, calmly fishing. When she saw me coming over, she quickly grabbed another stool for me. How are you feeling? I nodded and leaned against her. Much better. Lu Shihan finally let out the breath she'd been holding for days. There was a hint of regret in her eyes. If I'd known, I wouldn't have chosen this island for my posting. I took her hand and smiled. It's fine. I'll get used to it. Besides, coming to an island base was your dream. As your fiancé, of course I'm going to support you 100. At the word, fiancé, Lu Shihan snuggled closer into my arms. Speaking of which, we should start planning our wedding. Because the island is so remote, and it's really hard for outsiders to get here. Plus both our parents aren't in the best health. So this time, neither family is coming. But they still sent us generous dowry and bride price. When I mentioned the wedding, I teased her on purpose. Why are you suddenly thinking about the wedding? Lu Shihan gave a soft laugh, kissed my forehead gently, her eyes burning with love. Because I want to marry you right now. I want to be your wife. Early the next morning, Lu Shihan and I got in the car. and drove along the newly paved road toward the distant port. The island is so far out that most supplies come by ferry, and because the trip is so long, the ferry only comes once a month. So the 15th of every month is market day, when islanders rush to the ferry. Lu Shihan carefully helped me board the ferry. Not long after we got on, she started buying tons of stuff. Pretty much everything was for me. Watching her spend like that actually made my heart ache. I quickly grabbed her hand. Shihan, that's enough. Really, it's too much. Lu Shihan just smiled. She squeezed my hand, but I felt like it wasn't enough. From the very second I fell for you, I started planning and saving up, all just so I could give you a beautiful life, to make sure you'd want for nothing, and never have to envy anyone else. Besides, who else would I spend my money on if not you? Plus, my family has their own money anyway. They'll probably keep sending us some every year. Seeing how stubborn she was, I didn't argue anymore. Instead, I went ahead and bought her a few outfits, some dresses, and even a bicycle, to make it easier for her to get around. By the time we were ready to head out, we had so much stuff it barely fit in the pickup truck. We ended up tying the bigger items to the roof before we finally made it home. A few days later, Lu Shihan and I took some gifts to visit a well-known officiant on the island. We asked him to help us pick the perfect date for our wedding. After he did some quick calculations, the big day was set for 1 month later. With the date locked in, the two of us threw ourselves into wedding prep. The very first thing on the list was getting our marriage recommendation letter from the office. When we both sat down and wrote the words marriage by choice, this incredible wave of happiness just washed over me. It meant we were taking a massive step toward becoming husband and wife. Letter in hand, we rushed straight over to the Civil Affairs Bureau. As we signed the marriage agreement, both of us were buzzing with excitement. Staring at those 4 words on the page, my mind suddenly drifted back to years ago, when Shen Fangxing and I first registered our marriage. Back then, I had zero experience with love, and I was just a kid entering the real world. I didn't know the first thing about being married. I relied entirely on the staff and Shen Fangxing to guide me. Getting that certificate didn't bring me any joy at the time. Honestly, I just felt lost about the future. What kind of husband was I supposed to be? What was I even supposed to do? I had no clue. Shen Fangxing thought it was just wedding jitters, and she told me not to be scared. She promised she'd take care of everything for me, and she kept that promise. From our wedding night through our whole life together, she was always there, looking out for me. Maybe she was too good to me, because I became completely dependent on her. So when I heard Shen Fangxing had died, the grief was mixed with total disorientation. I was so used to having her by my side. Without her, I didn't even know how to survive. Back then, Shen Fangxing really was my entire world. But it was only after her death that I actually started to grow up and find my own feet. I realized I could make it on my own, that I could handle the hard stuff. But just as I was learning to embrace the struggle, I stumbled upon Shen Fangxing's secret. Discovering the truth about her felt like being struck by lightning. That was the moment my heart completely died for her. I wanted to get as far away as possible, which is why I said yes to Lu Shihan's proposal. I promised to leave the past behind and do my best to be a good husband to her. But honestly, I thought I'd never feel that spark for marriage again, that it was just impossible. But sitting here now, I realize I was wrong. Maybe it's because Lu Shihan's energy has finally rubbed off on me, because I actually feel excited. I'm starting to look forward to our life together. I'm even imagining all the things we're going to do. Thinking about it, a genuine, happy smile finally touched my lips. I looked down, wrote my name on that marriage agreement, and pressed my thumbprint onto the page. Lu Shihan was just as thrilled, staring at the paper. She looked like she was floating, convinced she must be dreaming. To check if it was real, she gave her leg a hard pinch. The second the pain hit, she just burst out with this silly, giddy laugh. That laugh caught my attention. "What's up with you?" I asked, smiling. Lu Shihan just beamed back at me. "Nothing. I just thought I was dreaming, so I had to pinch myself." Her dorky move made me laugh out loud too. Everything moved fast after that. The staff stamped our certificates with the official seal. Now officially, husband and wife. We took our certificates and handed out the wedding candy we'd prepared for the staff. Lu Shihan clutched her fresh certificate, her finger tracing the date at the bottom. April 20th, the day she and I got married. The start of her happily ever after. She'd finally made it. She took a deep breath, trying to keep her emotions in check, but her eyes were shimmering with joy. Still, the excitement was bubbling up like a fountain she couldn't stop. She couldn't hold back anymore. She threw her arms around me. "I'm married," she cried. "I actually have a husband. Yannan, I'm finally your wife. You're finally mine." She was so loud and happy that everyone in the bureau turned to look. Hearing her, the other newlyweds nearby started smiling too, their eyes full of well wishes. I looked down at her and saw her eyes were brimming with so much raw love. It made my heart skip a beat. A smile spread across my face. I felt so lucky too. Lucky that life gave me a second chance to marry someone who loves me this much. Night fell, and the world was bathed in moonlight. It was our wedding night. I'd already gotten ready and was waiting in bed. Lu Shihan, though, was a total nervous wreck. She sat on the edge of the bed, not meeting my eyes. Finally, she took a few deep breaths, like she was psyching herself up for something huge. She turned to me. "Yannan, maybe we should wait until the actual wedding ceremony." But before she could finish, I reached out and pulled her closer, my hands around her neck. "But, Shihan," I whispered, "we're already husband and wife. And I told you, you're the only one in my heart now. I only love you. I'm only yours." Lu Shihan just stared at me, breathless. And then, I pulled her down to me. The curtains were drawn tight, leaving only the dim glow of the bedside lamp. The soft light blurred the room, casting the shadows of two people deeply intertwined. We loved each other until dawn. After crossing that final line, Lu Shihan and I became completely inseparable. Finally, as the days ticked by, the wedding day arrived. Since we were already living together, and neither of us liked a big fuss, we kept everything simple. Amidst the sound of firecrackers, I pedaled a bicycle decked out in red ribbons. With Lu Shihan sitting on the back in her red veil, we rode along the route we'd planned. The streets were packed with guests. With every cheer, our wedding candy was tossed out, filling the air like colorful rain. Finally, surrounded by everyone, I hopped off the bike and carried my bride over the threshold and into our home. Meanwhile, Shen Fangxing was on a desperate hunt. Ever since she found out I hadn't gone home and had disappeared, she'd been searching for me like crazy. Finally, a month later, she caught a lead. She found out I was on the island. The second she heard, she booked a boat ticket to come find me. She finally landed on the island today. But once she got there, she realized the island was huge. On top of that, she had no idea where I would even be. Finding me felt like an impossible task. But Shen Fangxing wasn't someone who knew how. She started asking around, following every tiny bit of info she got. She picked up the pace, heading toward the town. As she was riding the bus up the hill, it suddenly came to a stop. A crowd of people suddenly piled off the bus, all rushing excitedly toward a wedding celebration nearby. Shen Fangxing hadn't planned on getting, but a friendly local pulled her along. Hey, don't just sit there. Go grab some candy and get some of that good luck. Before she could even react, she was swept into the crowd. And right then, the wedding inside reached its climax. It was time for the groom to lift the bride's veil and kiss her, with everyone cheering. The groom gently turned his bride around to face him. Shen Fangxing was pushed along until she was right at the front. She finally got a clear look at the groom, and there I was, standing right in front of her. When I'd first disappeared, she'd nearly lost her mind. She'd knelt outside my parents' house for days, enduring their insults and the cold water they threw at her. She'd even taken the slaps from her own mother. But she hadn't budged. She'd begged them, not for forgiveness, but just to tell her where I'd gone. But even when she collapsed in the rain with a high fever, that door hadn't opened once. Still, she hadn't given up. She'd thrown her pride away, even begging her old enemies to help find me. And now, she'd finally found me. But she never, in her wildest dreams, imagined that I would be standing there as someone else's groom. How did it come to this? She knew from my parents' reactions that I'd found out her secret. Why did things turn out like this? She already knew from his family's reaction that I'd found out her secret long ago, and that was why I left in a rage. But we were married for so long, and she loved him so much. How could he just marry another woman out of nowhere? Was she really that awful to him? Is Yannan just doing this to get back at her? Shen Fangxing's head was spinning. She couldn't hear or see anything anymore. Seeing that woman about to kiss my lips, Shen Fangxing finally snapped. She fought like crazy to break through the crowd, throwing herself toward me with everything she had. She didn't even care about all the guests, staring at her in shock. No, stop. But the second she cried out, her voice was drowned out by the noise of the party. Shen Fangxing grew more terrified, her voice going hoarse. Only one thought was screaming inside her head. They can't get married. He belongs to her. She'd do whatever it takes, no matter the cost, to get me back. She needed to tell me how much she missed me while I was gone. She needed to tell me the whole truth. She needed to say it was all over, that she could come back to me, and we could just go back to our old lives. But just as Shen Fangxing was about to burst through, two men in green military uniforms suddenly blocked her path. One of them reached out, his tone polite but firm. Sorry, you can't go in there. Shen Fangxing wasn't listening. She tried to shove his hand away, her voice shaking with desperation. Let me go. I need to see Yannan. He's my husband. The two soldiers froze, trading a look of total confusion. Yannan was her husband, but their young lady just told them Yannan was the new master of the house. Besides, the master's first wife died in the line of duty ages ago. If she was going to make up a story, she shouldn't involve a dead person. One of the guards turned back to look at Shen Fangxing, his voice dropping an octave in warning. Sorry, you're still not getting in. If you keep this up, we'll have to escort you out. Shen Fangxing's face went pale. She'd never been shut down like this over and over again. In the past, she would have lost it. But this wasn't the Shen family home, and this wasn't Yun City. She had to suck it up. She took a breath, trying to stay calm. I really do know Yannan, she said earnestly. Can you please just help me out? Just tell him Shen Fangxing is here to see him. By the time she finished, her voice was filled with a desperate, humble plea. But the two soldiers didn't budge. They stood there like a cold wall, completely blocking her from the entrance. The commotion started to catch the attention of the guests. People began whispering. Some of them recognized Shen Fangxing. After all, that scandal about the Shen family's youngest daughter, posing as her sister to steal her brother-in-law, had been all over the place. It was front-page news. Even made it onto TV. Even the people here on this remote island had heard about it. I hadn't been on the island long, but it was long enough for them to know I was a good person. Thinking about how someone so kind was treated by Shen Fangxing, the islanders were instantly furious. They started shouting for me. How does someone like her have the nerve to show her face here? If I were you, I'd just crawl into a hole and stay there. What a nightmare, showing up at a wedding like this. The crowd got angrier and angrier. And finally, someone lost it. A punch swung toward Shen Fangxing. Before she could even move, she was hit right in the face. The old Shen Fangxing could have dodged it easily, but now, exhausted from everything and searching for me, her body was weak. She didn't have the strength left in her. Defenseless, she was knocked straight to the ground. Before she could even catch her breath, the crowd swarmed her, kicking and hitting her. They only let up when they'd had enough. Shen Fangxing lay there bloody and broken, not moving at all. After a long moment, she weakly raised a hand to wipe the blood from her lip, to keep from ruining the wedding inside. A few burly guys stepped out of the crowd. They grabbed Shen Fangxing and dragged her away to dump her somewhere else. Don't you dare bother, Comrade Wen again. If you show your face, we'll beat you every time. A heavy rain began to fall over the island that night. Thunder rolled as lightning tore through the sky. The loud cracks made the windows rattle. Lu Shihan was curled up in my arms, covering my ears with her hands. Only when I was deeply asleep did she let go. Slip out of bed, put on a coat, and leave the room. As she stepped out the front door with an umbrella, she saw a figure standing in the pouring rain nearby. Lu Shihan's brow furrowed, her eyes full of surprise. She couldn't believe it was this late, and Shen Fangxing still hadn't left. After the wedding ceremony today, 2 of her father's guards had told her a woman claiming to be my wife was trying to force her way in. Lu Shihan knew immediately it was Shen Fangxing. Based on what I'd told her, if Shen Fangxing was going to come looking, it shouldn't have been for months. Showing up here now meant something had happened to the Shen family, leaving Shen Fangxing exposed. Lu Shihan didn't care at first. I was never going back to someone like that. If Shen Fangxing had any sense, she should have just disappeared. But nobody expected her to wait outside our house for this long. She just found out she was pregnant, and our life together was just beginning. She didn't want me to have to deal with this. So, she picked up her pace and walked toward the woman in the rain. Outside on the road, Shen Fangxing was standing perfectly still. She was soaked to the bone, the cold biting into her skin. She was shivering uncontrollably, but she didn't seem to notice. Her eyes were glued to the closed iron gates. Since the wedding ended, she'd been waiting outside the Lu house, desperate for answers. Why did I just leave her without a word? Why was I suddenly marrying someone else? She'd said she'd come back to me after the baby was born, and we'd start over. Why couldn't I just wait for her? While her mind was a mess, the iron gate finally opened from the inside. A figure under an umbrella started walking toward her. Suddenly, Shen Fangxing's hollow eyes lit up. She couldn't even wait for them to reach her. She rushed forward, Yannan. But when the black umbrella moved aside, it revealed a woman she didn't know. Lightning flashed again, briefly lighting up the dark sky. This time, Shen Fangxing saw her clearly. The woman who'd taken her Yannan away. "It's you," she whispered. In that moment, Shen Fangxing finally remembered who this woman was. A long time ago, not long after the news of her death broke, matchmakers had started coming to see me. One of them had come 7 times in a row. It hadn't mattered how often I said no, but that matchmaker had mentioned Lu Shihan's name and shown me her picture. Wait, no, before that matchmaker, she'd actually met Lu Shihan once, briefly. That day, he'd gone with the political commissar to visit old Mr. Lu. That woman had hurried down the stairs, given them a quick nod hello, and then rushed straight out the door. It was just a glimpse, but Shen Fangxing could still sense this weird vibe of hostility coming from Lu Shihan. She didn't get it back then, but now, the light bulb finally went on. So even back then, Lu Shihan already had her eyes on her husband. A surge of fury boiled up inside Shen Fangxing. She swung a punch straight at Lu Shihan's face. Lu Shihan dodged the hit with a quick sidestep, and immediately countered with a punch of her own, totally different from the sweet gentle girl who was always so soft with me. Lu Shihan was cold and calculated now. If Shen Fangxing wanted to play dirty, she wasn't going to hold back. The two of them were like lunatics, trading blows back and forth. But it was mostly Lu Shihan dominating Shen Fangxing. In just a few hits, Shen Fangxing's face was covered in blood. She slumped against the door, pale as a ghost. She tried to push herself up, but her body wouldn't move, not even an inch. Sharp pain screamed through every single nerve. Lu Shihan finally pulled back her fist. "Listen, Shen Fangxing," she said slowly. "Don't ever show your face here again. I'm pregnant with his baby. If anything happens to this child, Yannan will never forgive you. And if you keep pushing, I'll call the Shen family myself and ask them how they raised such a daughter, pregnant." Shen Fangxing, head bowed on the ground, looked up sharply. "Bubba, what did you just say? Who's pregnant? Whose baby?" Lu Shihan scoffed. "Mine, obviously." It felt like an invisible hand had just ripped open Shen Fangxing's chest. An icy wind rushed into the void, freezing her entire body solid. She couldn't see a thing, couldn't hear a sound. Even her pounding heart seemed to stop dead. She stood there like a statue, but her mind was in total chaos. Before she came to this island, before everything blew up, she dreamed of coming back to me and having kids together. She thought that would make me forget the grudge against Chu Lingxiao. But now, she could only stare blankly at Lu Shihan standing in front of her. Every single word had just been made clear. She was pregnant, and it was Yannan's baby. In an instant, it felt like Shen Fangxing's heart was being hacked into a million pieces, crushed into nothingness. From the moment I vanished without a trace, to right now, seeing me start a family with someone else, everything was telling her the same thing. I really didn't want her anymore. The lies she'd been telling herself shattered completely. In a daze, she remembered our wedding night, how I'd looked her dead in the eye and said that if she ever betrayed me, I'd walk away and never look back. Back then she'd been so sure of my love that she'd just laughed it off like a joke, just a passing thought. So she'd lied to herself again and again, saying what happened with Chu Lingxiao was unavoidable, that she did it for her sister, so her brother-in-law could survive, so the Shen family could have an heir. She did it for them. She'd temporarily sacrificed our little family for the sake of the bigger one. She thought that once it was over, she'd tell me the truth, and I'd understand. I'd support her. But now, everyone was telling her she was dead wrong, beyond wrong. A bitter, self-mocking laugh escaped her lips, only to be swallowed by the sound of the rain. Across from her, Lu Shihan didn't even want to waste more time. She turned and walked back inside without a word. The cold iron gate slammed shut in Shen Fangxing's face. She collapsed onto the ground, her shoulders shaking, as she finally broke into a sob. Inside the Lu house, it was still as warm as spring, untouched by the freezing storm outside. Lu Shihan had just changed and opened the bedroom door to find me sitting up in bed. I asked her sleepily where she'd been. Lu Shihan paused for a second, the memory of what happened outside clouding her eyes. Then she walked over as if nothing was wrong, and gave me a kiss. Nowhere. Just went down to the port to get you some snacks. My eyes went wide at that. I looked out at the storm. Worried. It's pouring out there. What if you catch a cold? Lu Shihan just smiled. Don't worry. I'm strong. Besides, if the baby wants a snack, as a mom, I have to make it happen, right? She touched her belly softly, her expression tender. Mentioning the baby made me reach out too, looking at her with so much love. I never thought I'd actually get to be a father. My health had been wrecked after I heard the news about Shen Fangxing's death, and after everything that followed. Doctors told me it would be almost impossible for me to have children, but somehow I'd beaten those 1 in a million odds. I cherished this miracle baby more than anything. I barely paid attention to the world outside anymore. Whatever Lu Shihan said, I believed. I didn't want to dig for more, and Lu Shihan knew that about me, which is why she'd kept the whole thing about Shen Fangxing being here a total secret. She didn't want her husband to be hurt by that woman again. She stayed by my side through dinner, and only went downstairs once I was out cold. Because of the pregnancy, the Lu and Wen families had hired a lot of staff to take care of us. As she walked down, the nanny by the window came over to greet her. Miss? Lu Shihan nodded. Is she still there? Yes, the nanny replied. She's been there almost all night. Lu Shihan gave a cold laugh. Forget about her. Whatever happens to her is none of our business. Then, she turned to the cook. I've been feeling a bit nauseous lately. Keep the food light and not too oily. Just a simple soup with that salt pork, the Wen's scent, and some spring bamboo shoots. Got it, miss, the nanny said. Once she was alone, Lu Shihan went to the phone and dialed a number. Hello. Put me through to the Shen family, please. Thanks. She might be ignoring Shen Fangxing for now, but I wasn't going to be stuck at home forever. I'd have to go out eventually for work or fresh air to make sure Shen Fangxing wouldn't be around to bother me. She was calling her family to come and pick her up. 1 month max, she said coldly, or I'll have to have her forcibly removed. Her eyes flashed with a sharp, ruthless intensity. Another rainy night. Shen Fangxing had lost track of how many days she'd been standing outside. She could feel her body starting to give out, but she still hadn't seen me. The rain got heavier, and one by one, the lights in the Lu house went out. As the last light flickered off, the light in Shen Fangxing's eyes died with it. Another day of waiting for nothing. She felt completely hollow inside, just cold, pure despair. Lu Shihan's words kept echoing in her ears. She just couldn't accept it. We were so in love once. I'd even been ready to die with her when she passed. But now, I wouldn't even see her. A bitter smile touched her lips. Ha! He looked up into the pitch-black sky. The rain pelted his face, as if the universe itself were mocking him. Thud, thud. Finally reaching his breaking point, his vision went dark, and he collapsed onto the ground. The storm continued its heartless assault, as if trying to drown both of us. In this icy, unforgiving world. Through the haze, it sounded like someone was calling his name frantically. In a hospital ward, A feverish and unconscious Shen Fangxing was dreaming. She dreamt of me, the person she hadn't seen in forever. In the dream, I was holding her just like I used to, softly whispering her name. But, just as she leaned in to kiss me, my face suddenly twisted into a cold mask. I shoved her away to pull another woman into my arms. No matter how hard she begged or cried, I ignored her. Instead, I just said coldly, "Shen Fangxing, you're the one who betrayed me first, so I'm done with you too." I walked away with such finality, never once looking back. Shen Fangxing snapped awake with a scream. "No, don't go!" Her hands clawed at the air, searching for something. Then her palm touched something soft. Still half delirious, she thought it was me. Her face lit up with relief, and she immediately pulled me into a tight embrace, showering me with kisses and pleading, "Don't go. Please don't leave me. I'm begging you." Chu Lingxiao, who had traveled for days to get here, never in his wildest dreams imagined that his reunion with Shen Fangxing would look like this. When Chu Lingxiao first found out that the woman he'd shared a bed with for nearly 2 years wasn't his wife, but actually his sister-in-law, he felt like his world was ending. A widower involved with his sister-in-law, no matter who was at fault, he'd be socially crucified by everyone's gossip. He could even be hauled off to a labor camp for re-education. Chu Lingxiao had worked so hard to escape the living hell that was his family life, and finally found some peace. If he had to go back to that misery, he'd rather just end it all. That's what he was thinking, and he was ready to do it. His reputation was trashed. His family disowned him, and Shen Fangxing didn't want him. What was the point in living? But just as he was about to give up, Shen Fangxing's mother rushed in and stopped him. She said the Shens had already done him wrong, and if they drove him to death, they'd never be able to show their faces again. So, she took charge and decided Shen Fangxing should marry him. But Shen Fangxing's pushback was so intense, she even fled to this island to find me. Her mother didn't give up, though, and sent Chu Lingxiao here with a boat ticket and the necessary paperwork, telling him that as soon as he brought her back, they'd make it official. Normally, Chu Lingxiao could never have accepted marrying his sister-in-law, but he and Shen Fangxing had already lived as a couple for 2 years. Not only was he used to her physically, but his heart had slowly started to care for her. Since his name was already Mud, he figured they might as well get married and have kids. At least his future would be secure. So he came here. He was ready for whatever reaction she might have upon seeing him, but he never expected her to be so desperate for him. She was clinging to him, kissing him wildly, begging him not to leave. Her sudden warmth caught Chu Lingxiao off guard for a second. It felt like they were back in those 2 years of domestic bliss. Thinking about that, he reached for her, ready to kiss her back. But then, in the next breath, Shen Fangxing suddenly called out another man's name. "Yannan, don't go. Please." Those 2 syllables, Yannan, hit Chu Lingxiao like a bucket of ice water, chilling him to his core. In an instant, he was flooded with an unspeakable mix of humiliation, anger, and resentment. He'd already started considering her his own. How could she call out for someone else? Furious and hurt, he found a surge of strength and shoved her away. "Shen Fangxing," he yelled, "open your eyes and look at who I actually am." After being shoved, Shen Fangxing was still completely out of it. She tried to grab his hand again, choking back tears. "Yannan, please don't be mad anymore, okay? I can explain everything." She let out another cry of pure despair. But this time, it finally seemed to register. She shook her head, and the person in front of her finally came into focus. In an instant, all that desperate warmth vanished, like a receding tide, leaving behind nothing but cold indifference. Why are you here? Seeing her go so cold and distant, Chu Lingxiao felt a pang in his chest. He balled his hands into fists. Eventually he told her everything, including her mother's decision. When she heard her mother wanted her to marry him, Shen Fangxing's face darkened instantly. Her eyes were devoid of emotion, her voice flat. And you? I suppose you're just dying to marry me. Chu Lingxiao looked at her. At that face, that was identical to his late wife's, and found himself nodding. The main reason he'd married her sister back then was because of that very face. Even if Shen Fangxing didn't love him, having her by his side, maybe even having a child who looked like her, would be enough. But he couldn't say that. He just said simply, I already told you, with my reputation now, no one else is going to marry me. If I don't marry you, then who? Shen Fangxing heard the expected answer, and just felt a wave of exhaustion. If she'd known that pretending to be her sister, sleeping with him, and having his baby, just to give him a reason to keep living, and let her sister rest in peace, would cause this much trouble, she never would have done it. She leaned back on the bed and rubbed her temples, sounding utterly defeated. But, you know perfectly well, I don't love you. I'll never marry you. Any kindness I showed was for my sister's sake. Besides, I came to this island to get Yannan back. I came to be his wife again. From the moment I entered her life, Shen Fangxing had eyes for no one else. Hearing this, Chu Lingxiao just felt bitter. Since arriving on the island, he'd made it his mission to find out about me. Now, not only was I married to Lu Shihan, but she was pregnant, and we were head over heels for each other. Nothing was going to break us apart. He was jealous, sure, but he didn't have time for that. His priority was making sure Shen Fangxing stayed with him. So, he decided to burst her bubble once and for all. Forget it, he snapped. You're never getting him back. And if you want to talk about being husband and wife, I've spent way more time in bed with you than he ever did. And it was true. When Shen Fangxing and I were newlyweds, missions kept us apart, and then everything happened. But after she came back, she'd been with him constantly. They'd even had a child together. Shen Fangxing, he said, no man is going to take someone like you back. No one except me. And we were always so intimate together. Beyond that, we even shared a child once. Shen Fangxing, no man would ever want to go back to someone like you. No one, except me. I don't know which specific word triggered her. But, Shen Fangxing suddenly flipped. She grabbed whatever was nearby and hurled it at Chu Lingxiao. That's enough, she screamed. Get out. Just get out. I had no idea what was going on with them. At that moment, thanks to Lu Shihan's amazing care, I was feeling so much better. After being stuck inside for over a month, I could finally go out for a walk. So, on a whim, I begged Lu Shihan to take me to town to check out the new department store. I also wanted to pick up some clothes and formula for the baby ahead of time. Since it wasn't a long trek, we didn't bother driving. We just took a slow stroll down the mountain road. Along the way, I felt like a bird, finally let out of its cage, looking at everything with wide eyes. Lu Shihan didn't stop me. She just stayed close by my side. Once we got to the store, we went straight to the baby shop on the second floor. Since we didn't know the gender yet, we just bought 2 of everything. But when we went to the counter to pay, the clerk told us someone had already settled the bill. Lu Shihan and I just looked at each other, totally confused. We hadn't done any favors lately, and there was no reason for a stranger to drop that much cash on us. At first, I thought it was a prank. But yeesh, when the clerk handed us the receipt, We realized it was actually legit. We figured it must be some weird coincidence. Maybe a friend saw us but didn't have time to stop, so they just paid as a way of saying he. We thought we'd just find out who it was later and thank them then. But then, it kept happening. Every single place we went, everything was already paid for. After a while, I started getting really uneasy. I looked at Lu Shihan, my mind racing with bad scenarios. What if someone was trying to set us up? Unlike me, Lu Shihan was super calm. She already had a pretty good idea of who was behind this. She'd even caught a glimpse of a familiar figure earlier, which confirmed it. She comforted me and took me to a new restaurant for lunch. While we were waiting for the food, she made up some excuse to step away, telling me to start eating and she'd be right back. In a nearby alleyway, Lu Shihan kicked Shen Fangxing to the ground. Her eyes were cold, simmering with anger. I knew it was you. Shen Fangxing had snuck out of the hospital before she was even recovered. That one kick left her too weak to even stand back up. Even so, she still looked defiant. She laughed coldly. So what if it is? Yannan is my husband. You can't just steal him away to get rid of the headache that was Chu Ling Xiao and win me back. Shen Fangxing had slipped out of the hospital unnoticed. She'd searched high and low until she finally found me and Lu Shihan. Unlike our first reunion, where I looked totally drained, I had this glow about me now. But seeing Lu Shihan's pregnant belly felt like a knife twisting in her heart. The bitterness was overwhelming, but she forced herself to swallow it. She was the one who'd had a baby with someone else first, after all. Now, she was even willing to accept my child with another woman. She would raise it as her own, but that was only if I agreed to go with her. So she'd come up with this plan to lure Lu Shihan away. But Lu Shihan had caught onto her and found her first. Shocked by her sheer audacity, Lu Shihan didn't want to waste any more breath. She went to slap her, but right then, a massive explosion rocked the air. Boom! Lu Shihan's hand froze midair. She turned around in horror to see the restaurant where I was eating, engulfed in flame. Thick black smoke was swallowing the building whole. Yannan! She screamed, running frantically toward the fire. Behind her, Shen Fangxing turned deathly pale. She scrambled up from the ground and chased after her. The sky was lit up with orange flames, echoing with screams and cries. The noise was deafening for Lu Shihan. Flashbacks flooded her mind, and she slapped herself twice. She never should have left me alone. If anything happened to me, she wouldn't want to live either. Thinking of this, she tried to charge into the fire. Boom! Another massive blast. Debris flew everywhere like lethal shrapnel. Bystanders saw her trying to rush in and desperately held her back. Calm down. It's too dangerous. Going in there is a suicide mission. The fire department is on the way. Lu Shihan's eyes were bloodshot as she fought to break free. Let me go, she roared. My husband is in there. He's not well. Her mind was completely blank, except for the thought that I was inside. Nothing could happen to me. Get off me, she screamed. With a sudden burst of strength, she broke away and dove toward the flames. Boom! Another explosion. The shockwave knocked everyone to the ground. The scene was pure chaos. But, right then, another figure had already snuck into the fire from the side. As soon as Shen Fangxing heard I was trapped, she didn't care about her own life anymore. She dove into the inferno. She had some experience with rescues, but this fire was way too intense. Through the thick black smoke, people were running and coughing everywhere. Charred figures were desperately fleeing, crying out in despair. Without any protection, Shen Fangxing was quickly surrounded by flames. She was stepping over burning debris, with fire chasing her every move. The heat was overwhelming, like a living hell. The smoke filled her lungs, making it hard to breathe. Her vision was starting to fade. Blisters were forming on her skin, the pain searing through her nerves. She was slowing down. After what felt like forever, she finally saw a familiar figure on the floor. He wasn't moving. Her heart nearly stopped. She started to rush toward him, but then, a burning piece of the ceiling came crashing down right toward him. But, right then, a shadow had already slipped in from the other side into the fire. As soon as Shen Fangxing, who was right behind, heard with that I was still trapped in the inferno, she threw all caution to the wind. She dove into the sea of flames, without a second thought, even though she had some experience with fire rescues. The fire in the restaurant was way too intense. Through the thick, swirling black smoke, she pushed past figures with stinging eyes and tear-streaked faces. The sound of coughing was everywhere. Charred silhouettes wrapped in sparks ran desperately amidst the hopeless screams. But Nhi Recap, having had no time to protect herself, was quickly cornered as the flames closed in. She was stepping over burning debris, with fiery serpents chasing her every step. The scorching heat hit her like a tidal wave, as if she had stepped into a literal hell. Thick smoke poured into her lungs, making her gasp for air. Tears streamed down her face, and her vision started to fade into black. She could barely see what was in front of her. Her exposed skin was already blossoming with blisters from the heat. The searing pain tore at her nerves, dragging her pace to a crawl. After what felt like forever, she finally spotted a familiar figure, curled up on the ground, completely still. Her heart, which had just momentarily steadied, skipped a beat. Shen Fangxing rushed toward the figure, ignoring the danger. Suddenly, a piece of the burning ceiling came crashing down right toward them. She let out a terrified scream. When Yannan, Shen Fangxing threw herself over me instantly. In the next heartbeat, that heavy ceiling panel slammed right into her back. Everything went dark for Shen Fangxing, and she lost consciousness completely. At the hospital, Chu Lingxiao stared at the woman on the bed, wrapped head to toe in gauze. His eyes were a storm of emotions. He knew she still loved me, but he never thought it went this deep. Deep enough to sneak out of the hospital with her injuries just to win me back. Deep enough to risk her life, running into an inferno to save me. Even if it was just someone who looked a bit like me from behind. The more he thought about it, the tighter his fists clenched. He stared at Shen Fangxing, unmoving, and suddenly remembered the letter Shen Fangxing's mother had sent earlier. The message was clear. She was worried he couldn't bring Shen Fangxing back alone, so the family was sending reinforcements. But her mother hoped that before they arrived on the island, he and Shen Fangxing would sleep together again, ideally getting her pregnant one more time. That way, they'd have even more leverage to force the marriage. Thinking of this, Chu Lingxiao instinctively touched his pocket. Inside was the drug Shen Fangxing's mother had sent with the letter. He knew exactly what to do with it. He'd even picked out the perfect spot. Shen Fangxing, he muttered coldly. You're the one who betrayed me first, so don't blame me for doing this to you. Shen Fangxing was out for an entire week. The second she woke up, she didn't ask how long Chu Lingxiao had been waiting there. She only asked about me. When she found out it wasn't me she saved, that I had actually escaped long ago, she was stunned for a moment. Then, like all the air had been let out of her, she slumped back into bed, but a faint, relieved smile touched her lips. That smile was a knife in Chu Lingxiao's heart. It only made him more certain about using that drug. When she heard I was in the same hospital, Shen Fangxing ignored her injuries. and forced herself out of bed to come find me. This time, Chu Lingxiao didn't stop her. He just watched her leave. But he couldn't stop thinking about the day of the fire. Hearing that she'd charged into the flames alone to save me was agony for him. By the time he got to the scene, she was already inside. He'd been frantic, searching for the rescue crew, only to see me nearby. I, who was supposed to be trapped, was actually holding Lu Shihan, kissing her in relief. Once the shock wore off, his heart was flooded with a strange mix of rage and pity. What would Shen Fangxing do if she knew the person she was dying for had already escaped and was busy kissing another woman, just as he was about to confront us? Lu Shihan saw him first. After she'd calmed me down and got me into a car, she came over to him. She suggested they work together to make Shen Fangxing give up on me for good. And Chu Lingxiao agreed. The first step, making sure she heard me say I was completely over her. Sure enough, when Shen Fangxing rolled her wheelchair to my door and went to knock, she heard Lu Shihan bring her up inside. Yannan, there's something I need to tell you. It's about Shen Fangxing. Outside, Shen Fangxing's breath hitched. Her hand froze in mid-air. It had been so long since I'd seen her, she didn't know how I'd react. Would I be disgusted or something else? But my voice, through the door, was eerily calm. Why are you even bringing her up? Those few words made her heart stop. A sharp pain radiated through her entire body. Yannan didn't even want to hear her name. Inside, I kept talking, my tone flat, like I was telling someone else's story. I told you, from the moment I married you, she had nothing to do with me anymore. As far as I'm concerned, Shen Fangxing died on that mission. Everything after that was just karma for me being blind. I can see clearly now. I'm not wasting another second on her. I just want to live my life with you. Lu Shihan whispered back. So you don't even hate her anymore? I gave a small laugh. Why would I bother holding a grudge against a dead person? Those few sentences shattered what was left of Shen Fangxing's heart. It was broken beyond repair. Pale as a ghost, she closed her eyes. Her knuckles were white from gripping the wheelchair, making her look like a silent statue. In a pitch-black room, filled with the stench of alcohol, Shen Fangxing sat slumped on the floor. Her eyes were glazed as she swirled her glass, surrounded by empty bottles. She was drinking and crying my name, bitter tears of regret, mixing with the liquor. The pain felt like 1,000 needles, pricking her skin. She could barely breathe. She collapsed onto the floor. As she hit the ground, a glass bottle shattered, splashing her through the haze. She thought she saw me, opening the door and walking toward her, just like when we first got married, calling her name and holding her tight, mixing with the alcohol as they poured down his throat. The bitterness felt like 1,000 needles, pricking every inch of his skin, leaving him gasping through the pain. He finally hit his limit and collapsed onto the floor. As Shen Fangxing went down, the wine bottle shattered, splashing alcohol everywhere and blurring his vision. In his haze, he thought he saw me, slowly pushing the door open and walking toward him, calling his name just like when we first got married, pulling him into a tight hug, thinking it was all a dream. He let himself go completely for once. He threw himself into my arms and looked up to kiss me, but tasted only bitterness. With his mind completely clouded by the alcohol, Shen Fangxing thought I was crying. He frantically moved to the corners of my eyes, kissing away the tears and whispering, "Hey, baby! Don't cry. I'm right here." Outside in the cool night, a light drizzle began to fall. The night breeze picked up, and the rain grew louder, slowly drowning out the muffled groans of the man and the soft cries of the woman inside. After a night of passion, Shen Fangxing woke up with a splitting headache. He struggled to open his eyes, only to realize he was lying in the arms of a man who felt both strange and familiar. His smooth, bare shoulders were covered in bright red marks, dead giveaways of exactly what happened last night. Shen Fangxing's eyes widened in shock, his mind momentarily short-circuiting. Just then, the man holding him let out a soft groan, slowly looked up, and gave him a smile. Fangxing. The peaceful morning instantly descended into chaos. Shen Fangxing never imagined he'd one day be drugged and played by Chu Lingxiao. As fury burned through him, a wave of pure despair also surged in his heart. When he slept with Chu Lingxiao before, it was to fulfill his sister's dying wish, to give Chu Lingxiao a child. But now, when he was trying so hard to win me back, sleeping with him again meant one thing: it was officially over for us. When Yannan is so meticulous about loyalty, how could he ever touch a version of me that belonged to another man? He lost all composure, grabbing Chu Lingxiao by the throat, his eyes filled with rage. "Are you trying to die?" But the harder he squeezed, the louder and more manic Chu Lingxiao's laughter became. Finally, disgusted, Shen Fangxing shoved him onto the floor. Only then did the laughter stop, replaced by heavy coughing. He looked up with cold eyes and a mocking sneer. "Wake up, Shen Fangxing. Stop living in a fantasy. From the second you decided to fake your death and pose as your sister in my bed, you were dead to him. Besides, for all you know, you're already carrying my kid." Chu Lingxiao's gaze was filled with a manic desperation. "If you won't come back and register our marriage, I'll release our intimate photos to the whole world. I'll let everyone see exactly what kind of person you..." Shen Fangxing cut him off with a sharp slap across the face. "Enough! You're a total psycho." He was drowning in regret. If he had known things would get this messy, he never would have been soft-hearted enough to help Chu Lingxiao. The force of the slap made Chu Lingxiao cough up a mouthful of blood. The blood stained his pale lips red, making him look even more deranged and terrifying. A flash of ruthlessness crossed Chu Lingxiao's eyes. "Shen Fangxing," he snarled, "I'm warning you one last time. If we aren't married within 3 days, those photos will be delivered straight to him. Then he'll be dragged through the mud too. Not to mention his kid, so just accept it. Accept your fate, just like he did." Shen Fangxing stared at him, motionless. His mind was racing, desperately searching for a way out, only to realize with a sinking heart that he was trapped. Ever since hearing those words outside the hospital room, whatever was left of our relationship was gone. If Chu Lingxiao actually went through with this sis, I would cut him out of my life forever. He'd already caused enough disappointment and grief. He couldn't let it go any further. Since it had come to this, why not? Seeing the killing intent in his eyes, Chu Lingxiao added helpfully, "Don't forget about your parents." So Shen Fangxing's clenched fists slowly opened. His once upright posture finally crumbled. A satisfied smirk played on Chu Lingxiao's lips. He knew Shen Fangxing had given in. 3 days later, the Shen family came to the island, specifically to take Shen Fangxing and Chu Lingxiao home. Seeing them arm in arm, with the marriage certificate in Chu Lingxiao's hand, the family members traded looks and breathed a collective sigh of relief. The ship's horn blared, thick black smoke pouring from the funnel. Shen Fangxing stood on the deck, tracing the wedding ring on his finger, with eyes full of bitterness. "Years ago when he and I got married, I'd saved up for 6 months to have this ring made specifically for him. And when I put it on his finger, I saved up for 6 months to have this ring made specifically for him. And when I put it on his finger, Shen Fangxing, who was always so tough, actually broke down and cried like a baby. Back then, she whispered so many sweet things to me, made so many promises. But in the end, she broke every single one of them. She was the one who destroyed the basic trust between us. She was the one who broke us first. Honestly, she deserves exactly what she's going through now. Finally, she threw that wedding ring into the ocean, letting it sink alongside the marriage she wrecked, burying it all in the deep blue sea. Goodbye, Wen Yannan. Let's never see each other again. When the Lu family heard that Shen Fangxing and Xu Lingxiao got married and left, Lu Shihan finally showed her first genuine, relaxed smile in days. She was finally gone for good. No one would ever try to steal her husband again. Thinking of that, she peppered me with kisses while I was sound asleep. I jokingly swatted her away, laughing. What's gotten into you now? Ever since she got pregnant, Lu Shihan had been acting so weirdly cute. Even after the hit, she was still all giggles and smiles. She said excitedly, "It's nothing. Just that the annoying fly has finally been swatted away." I rolled my eyes, pulled her close, and went back to sleep, a tiny smile tugging at my lips. Truth is, I've known for a while that Lu Shihan was keeping things from me, things about Shen Fangxing. At our wedding, I saw Shen Fangxing desperately trying to reach me, but I'd already moved on completely, so I didn't care at all. Even when Lu Shihan would slip away while I slept, to handle the Shen Fangxing situation, I knew everything. I knew about the apology letter Shen Fangxing tried to give me, and how Lu Shihan tore it up. But I didn't mind one bit, because I love her. I knew she was just doing what was best for me and our baby. Since Shen Fangxing meant nothing to me anymore, her life or death was none of my business. I only wanted to cherish the woman in front of me, our future child, and the life we're building. It's it. I wasn't asking for anything else. 7 months later, Lu Shihan and I welcomed our daughter. Since she was such a miracle baby, we named her Tian, Heaven Sent Love. She was our most precious gift. From the moment she was born, she was surrounded by love from everyone. On her 1-month celebration, both our parents traveled to the island to celebrate with us. Along with the gifts came a letter. My mother looked at her daughter-in-law and sighed deeply. "I wasn't going to give this to you," she said, "but Shen Fangxing's mother kept begging me. You know how Yannan is. I don't want to upset him. Just read it and burn it. Don't tell him." Ever since the scandal of Shen Fangxing faking her death to seduce her brother-in-law went public, the Wen and Shen families had cut all ties. Everything had changed so much since then. Lu Shihan nodded, took the letter and stepped into a quiet corner. She expected it to be another dramatic love letter to me. Instead, it was an apology. The letter said Shen Fangxing had been plagued by nightmares. In her dreams, she went back to the day her sister died over and over again, trying to change her fate, all in vain. The constant nightmares had taken a toll on her mental health. She started mistaking Xu Lingxiao for me. At first, Xu Lingxiao tried to endure it for the sake of their kid. He thought he could handle it. But when she tried to make their son call my photograph Daddy, Xu Lingxiao finally snapped. A violent struggle broke out, leaving them both severely injured. Shen Fangxing's legs were crushed, leaving her paralyzed. Xu Lingxiao lost his sight and suffered a mental breakdown. As for the child they'd had together, the trauma had left him mute, and he was recently diagnosed with a serious heart condition. He would be on medication for the rest of his life. Shen Fangxing didn't write this letter for pity. She wrote it to apologize. She said she was so sorry for everything. She didn't dare ask for forgiveness. Only that I would live a long, safe life, and that Any pain meant for me would go to her instead. Lu Shihan scoffed and tossed the letter into the fire. In the distance, I was waving at her with our daughter in my arms. She hurried over and pulled us both into a tight hug. Yannan, she whispered softly, I'm so lucky to have you and our daughter. I smiled, took her hand and said, I'm the lucky one. Lucky I found you both.